I'm Felix here for Farrago with Xandri after an incredible set at Bar 303. Tonight's set also featured fellow pop up-and-comers Ed Moon, Ella Dunshea, and Matilda Duncan, alright? So, Xandri, how's it hanging?
It is really good. We did really well tonight, all of us. It was incredible. I had people commenting that, usually you expect a bit of an energy up. We all brought our absolute all, and it was just absolutely amazing. Yeah. So I'm so blessed to share the stage with such wonderful performers.
Yeah, for sure. It was an enraptured crowd. You sing in your own accent, which is a trend in Ireland that I've been hoping has been catching on here in Naarm for ages. Tell us about that. Is it a personal statement or is it just what comes naturally?
I do think it is a personal statement because, believe it or not, I was born in Texas. Some people can hear in the accent of when I'm speaking that they're like, there's something wrong with that. It's not quite Australian. I'm someone who really wants to support the Australian and the Melbourne music scene. I really want all of us to be showing up to gigs and to know who's Aussie and who's not. And I think when I'm on Spotify and an Australian artist comes up, if they're not singing in an Australian accent, I don't always know. And so part of me is sending out that beacon to anyone who wants to support the Aussie music industry the same way I want to, and just saying, hey, I'm Australian, listen to my song. And if you hear my songs, hopefully you know I'm Australian. And so that's kind of why, because I like the Melbourne music industry and I like the Australian music industry and I want to support that. So that's why I do that. Even though I, of anyone, should have the right to sing an American accent because I'm actually born in the US.
You covered Chapel Roan and also Paramore tonight. Who are some of your other musical influences?
Well, at the moment, she's opening for Sabrina Carpenter in the UK, but Rachel Chinariri, love her music. It's very indie pop rock kind of thing. I grew up on the classic Taylor Swift, so I love the country storytelling of the storytelling of country music is what I agree with, and I like narrative songs. And if I can meld that into a pop and an upbeat repertoire that gets people moving while also telling a story and being really vulnerable, that is my ideal. But I also love Remy Wolf. She was just here. Amazing performer.
Incredible.
And I love the production on those types of songs as well. And Olivia Rodrigo and, yeah, everyone.
You've teased a yet unreleased song called King, which was played tonight.
I never wanted this to be like this. Why can't you admit you never wanted any care?
What was the personal inspiration for that song?
I don't speak to my parents. So that's that song. The direction that it's come from when I originally wrote it is a little bit different. Now that it's coming out, it's been a couple of years since I've written the song. I want to take it a little bit campier. I want it to be a bit theatrical just so that it reaches the right people and so people actually hear the song, because sometimes it's one of my first releases. If it's not catchy, if it's not upbeat, if it doesn't have the fun production, maybe no one's going to hear it. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. So I've taken it a bit away from the feeling of being the king is kind of implying that in a family structure, when one person moves on or whatever, you only pass down the title of king onto the next person in line in whatever kingdom you have. What am I trying to say? The title inherits, and it can be quite silly, especially living in a Commonwealth country. You kind of go, oh, the king and the queen, what do they even do? And so I kind of want to take that idea of something being passed down and say that, if I didn't defeat the situation, then I never would have been able to have control over my own decisions and my own life. And I'd never be the king. I didn't kill my parents. Oh my God. I wanted to sort of take that and take ownership of the fact that I get to choose where my life goes without influence from other people and family members and things like that. So although it was a difficult experience and is very much shaped the way that I am today and the way that my music is. I wouldn't have been able to control my own life if I hadn't have distanced myself from that situation.
You can't rule your life while someone else does.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and then I've kind of taken that king thing and gone, well, you know what? It's all stupid anyway. Nobody's really in charge, and we're all just people, and we're all just existing. And so that's why I kind of took the whole campy thing of putting on the outfit, and I kind of want to reach the right audience with that one. Yeah, you can't really rely on these structures of what is expected and what's not of you when you really just want to live and be a person. So that's I don't know if that made any sense, but that's what it is about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that the song everyone's singing started with the chorus.
I'm still catching up, I'm still finding the love that in your grasp I missed out on.
What's your process? Do you usually start like writing with a hook or a riff or a chord progression?
Actually, and you may see this with some Xandri songs, I often start with a opening, so whatever that means. But tonight I played Habit and also Everyone Singing, and both of them have like this section that I just call an opening, and my band's like, what is that? But it's basically like the lyrical and melodical core of the song, and that's usually when I put it at the start, it's what it starts with, and it's like just the basis of the feeling. And so, and Everyone Singing, it opens with that, and it's quite beautiful, it's quite pretty, but I did want to turn it into a pop song and add a chorus and things like that. So it didn't start with the chorus, it started with the opening, which is, I'm still catching up, I'm still finding the love that in your grasp I missed out on. It does follow the melody of the chorus, but it isn't the chorus, and so I just kind of stuck it at the front and went, here's the intro of what I want you to know about this song, the information and the melodical information that I want you to know, and the same thing kind of happens in Habit as well. So sometimes I do that. I think it's not a convention of pop music, so we'll see if it continues in my work or not, but yeah.
So you recently played at the University of Melbourne. How did that come about, and what was that gig like?
Well, I saw an application online, so I signed up for it. But it was really, really fun. Myself and my band, we all go to JMC, which is in South Melbourne, and music creative industry sort of school. But I've been to Monash before. I thought I'd be at Melbourne for medicine by now. And so it's really nice to just have the right target audience reached, and especially for International Women's Day as well. I feel like a big part of myself is my personality, and my values are like standing up for women and queer people and whatever. It was really nice to be able to perform and just have the people who want to listen, and the people who don't get to walk by. I think that's really nice about that type of gig.
On that note, actually, there's been a recent resurgence of unabashed poptimism in the music charts, often foregrounding women like Remy Wolf and queer people like Chapel Roan. And you've spoken out publicly about the importance of being a difficult woman in an industry when sexism is very much alive, even if people say that it isn't. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I just think that we in Australia are very privileged to the level of progressiveness that we see in our government structures, in our day-to-day lives. I personally haven't experienced that much prejudice towards me. I'm a white woman in a very progressive city, but there are still people in high schools and whatever, people I've run into that seem to roll their eyes at the idea of feminism. And I think what a lot of people don't or refuse to recognize is that feminism is equity and equality for all. It's not about women being better than men, and it's not about women's rights overtaking anybody else's. But if you believe in human rights, then you are a feminist, and we still need that here, even in one of the most progressive societies, looking at the rest of the world. We still need that here, and every step that we make for ourselves and our own community and for each other is a step in the right direction for everyone. So although it's difficult to comprehend that the rest of the world struggles more with these issues and has more oppression, and it's just we can't even comprehend that. And for people to say from their privileged point of views that feminism isn't needed anymore, or they want to have arguments with me in Instagram comments. Shout out anyone who's had an argument with me in an Instagram reel comment. We have to continue our activism even from our places of privilege. So that's kind of what I meant by that. And even your smallest acts of activism are still important.
So you worked with the band Dilly on your first single. How was that band dynamic in studio?
Well, it wasn't the band, but Darius Papak is the producer that I work with, and his band is called Dilly Band, or is his Instagram's Dilly Band. It's been really great working with Darius because I think we think about music in a very similar way, and production in a very similar way about how we want to make people feel. He comes from a background of doing a lot of vocals and mixing, choir sections and things like that. So it's been really incredible to work with him. And as well, which has turned out to be much more difficult than I thought it would be. But, I just went in my garage and I produced a bunch of demos, and I was like, this is how I want them to sound. We have to keep as much as possible from these demos. And Darius just had to deal with that. So thank you, Darius. But it was hard to go from my shitty demos into the mixed products that we have now. But it has translated, just the feelings of the music that I want I've got a 4-song EP coming out in about a month, and I do think it translates. So yeah. It's been nice to be able to do that process, even though I know it's been difficult. Sorry, Darius.
I've tried so many lives on, so many times I've gone too far.
Your upcoming EP that you just mentioned, Everyone Singing, the single of which is already released, got a signal boost from Laura Alvarez on Instagram. How did that professional relationship come about? I mean, she's a really incredible act.
Yeah, well, Laura and I go to uni together. So that's how we know each other. She is really incredible. We met in our first trimester, and she seems very meek as a person, as a personality, but then she gets on stage and she just owns it. And so I was really impressed by that and really inspired by her stage presence. But yeah, we know each other, we support each other, and she's an amazing artist who's really committed to her craft and her success, and I really respect that.
Your first release, Everyone Singing, features the lyric, "I'm hoping my life will be more than me." Tell us about that. What are your aspirations with this project?
Well, that's kind of about my artist project in general. So I'm hoping my life will be more than me, more than just some kid with their guitar. So I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to play to lots of people. I mean, today was amazing. There was plenty of people here. It was awesome.
I'm hoping my life will be more than me, more than just some kid with their guitar.
The concept of playing to a stadium and everyone knowing your lyrics and singing your words, and not from a necessarily egotistical point of view. I mean, I love attention, but at the same time, it's a lot of my songwriting comes from a place of vulnerability and wanting to be understood. If you do have people singing your lyrics back to you, even if it is a pop song, which I think more recently I've come around to the idea of being a pop star and writing pop music, it still comes from a place of vulnerability, and when people sing it back to you, it creates a sense of understanding. And I'm hoping that it's more than just me on stage with the guitar, and it means more to everyone involved.
Yeah, completely. We hope so too. You can catch Xandri's new 4-track EP, Everyone Singing. That's out in April. The single's already out. It's incredible. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Listen to me and the words that I sing. I hope you know what I mean, 'cause everyone's singing.
Also, I don't even know if I'm gonna call it that. I've lied to everyone. I might be calling it "Why Can't You Admit You Never Wanted Any Kids?"
Spicy drop. Crazy.
See, I don't know. It's difficult. It's a difficult subject, but I also want the right people to hear it. So, yeah.